Hey, thanks for watching. Service leading is a very important role that pulls all the elements of the service together. We want, like it says in Colossians 3:16, to see the word of Christ dwell richly among us. And the point of that is so that we then serve him rightly. People are built up, the new person is welcomed, the lost brought home, and ultimately God is glorified. Like with everything that we do on a Sunday, our focus as the service leader is to lift up Jesus. We want to be eliminating distractions so that Jesus is seen and displayed clearly. Your job in service leading is to guide us through the service, to help us transition where we need to, and to tell us the things that we need to know. You'll help us transition from parking our car and thinking about all the logistics of our lives, and to remind us what we're doing when we gather and getting us ready to meet with God himself in his word with one another. So thank you for the way that you serve us. Here's 5 key tips to help you in leading in our Sunday services. Number 1, preparation. There's the spiritual and then the logistical. The spiritual is to spend time in the passage for the week yourself. Your job is not to preach a sermon, that's the preacher's job, but it is a good idea to read the passage a couple of times throughout the week and just pray and ponder it. That's the spiritual preparation. Then there's the more logistical prep. Whether you're a script person or not, your job is to guide us through the service. So think through the flow, the shape of how the service is going to work and how you'll say each piece and how you'll help us get to the next thing. Number 2, announcements. The announcements of what's coming up for us as a church are one of the most important pieces of your role. And the reason why is because the announcements aren't just a bunch of information that we just need to quickly get through and apologize for. The point of them is not the info, when it is, what time it's on, stuff like that. That's the least important part. Instead, the point is to, number 1, communicate values. Number 2, tell us why we should care. 3, tell us what to do. And then 4, tell us the info. This doesn't have to be elaborate, just simple. So, for example, you might say, here at Pitt Town Anglican, we think Jesus is the most important reality in the universe, and that what you think about him is more important than what you think about anything else. And so if you're here with us this morning and you're not quite sure what you think about Jesus, or you have a friend who's asking questions or who might be interested, then introducing Jesus is exactly for you. Why don't you bring your friend and come with them? 4 weeks, 1 hour at a time, and we unpack who Jesus is, what he's done for us, and how we respond. If you're interested, jump on the website, pitttownchurch.com, follow the link, and you can sign up. It starts in a couple of weeks' time. Now, that wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was values, why we should care, what we need to do, and then a bit of info. Number 3, match the tone. All I mean is be you and mean what you say. So when you say, so glad to be here, you mean it, and it looks like you mean it. Or when you're talking about how amazing Jesus is, you're excited by it. Or when you say, it's great to see everyone, you're smiling. It doesn't mean faking it or going against your personality. You don't need to pretend to be someone you're not. Be you, but be conscious of matching what's on the outside with what you're saying. Number 4, an eye for the outsider. We know that when we gather, we do so as God's people. Yet there will often be people who just pop in, people checking Jesus out, people checking our church out. This doesn't mean that we're going to fully cater to them. The guest of honor is Jesus. And when people come, we want them to know he is what everything is focused on. So there will be some things that might seem strange to someone who doesn't follow Jesus yet. That's good. But in everything that you say, be aware that people who don't know Jesus yet and are checking him out are probably in the room and they're hearing what you say. So it's a good idea to at least generally acknowledge and welcome them. Again, doesn't have to be elaborate. You can just say something like, "Hey everyone, great to see you here today." And just especially if you're new or you're visiting our church, just want to say a special welcome to you. We love having visitors, love having new people join us. You're heaps welcome. Hope you have a great time with us. Or something like that. Just be aware they're in the room. Things like, will the visitor know where the toilets are? Probably not. Might be a good idea to tell them. And number 5, finish simply. Wrapping up the service can be quite hard. What are you supposed to say? Your job isn't to try and re-preach the sermon or reapply it or apply it in maybe a different way from the preacher or any of those things. Your job is to remind us of what we've heard and then send us off into the week in faith. So this might mean a summary sentence or two from the sermon. It might mean reading a key verse or two from the passage that was preached, or it might mean praying a prayer that we would live out what was just preached this week. Any of those 3 would be good. Help us to leave positive and trusting in God. Don't thank us for coming. We're not doing you a favor. Don't thank us. Instead, say something like, "Have a great week. We'll see you back here next time," or "Look forward to seeing you next week," or something like that.